This is a Reichert Xcel 255, and some of the adjustments you can make. The head, you can go in and out to get the focus with your focus rod, and you can turn your head a little bit left or right to get it more centered in your focus rod. If that's not enough, you have a screw in the front. If you need to go further, you can unscrew that so you can go forward more to get your focus better. Once you get it in, then you tighten that screw up in the front so that when you put it back in, it's back at your preset position. Sometimes these get out of alignment bad, and turning it left or right is not good enough. So it's possible that the mount has become misaligned. So loosen these 3 Allens just a little bit. Place it back in. Look at your focus rod. And then you can turn your mount left or right to get it in the center. You can pull it back out and tighten your mount. You have a little bit of wiggle room in your focus. Sometimes the slits are not centered in your diaphragm. A way you can adjust the slit to be more centered in the diaphragm is there's an access hole right here. Plug, get your Allen wrench, and if you turn it in here, you'll see a cam. There's a cam in here that operates, that maneuvers the slit, and there's one spot in here where you can get your Allen wrench in, and what you do is you would loosen it, and then you can actually push the cam left or right to center it so that you're centered in your fixation. Once you have it close enough, tighten it back down and then check it. You may have to do it numerous times because it's not that easy, and it's hard to get it just right. Once you get that down, you can tighten that back up. If your slit adjustment is loose, you can take off the sides here. Take off the sides, loosen your screws, and hold both knobs in tight while you're tightening with the screwdriver to get it a little tighter, to get a little bit more tension on it so your slits aren't collapsing by themselves. If your elevation is stiff or noisy, one way you can correct it is go ahead and take your top arm elimination housing off so that you can work underneath. Take this screw off right here. Then you can lift up both the arm and the illumination housing straight up. There will be a spring under there that'll come up. Once you have your spring and arm and housing off, you can turn it over. There will be 3 screws here. Take those off. The plate. There will be 3 screws here. This just comes off. Take your plate off. This tension mechanism can be loosened by loosening the Phillips and then turning the disc out of the way to loosen your belt. You can either take the belt off now or take it off when you take this off. So the 3 areas that it's going to be tight are your joystick, bearing or the spindle mechanism. You can spin them to see which one has the most drag in it. If it's stiff, then it needs a little bit of lubricant, and I spray this in at 336, just a little bit to get it loosened up. If it's noisy, it needs grease, a little bit of grease. If it's stiff, it needs a little bit of lube. Same thing with your spindle. There are 3 screws in here. Your spindle has more of a closed bearing set, but you can still get some lubricant in there if it's not spinning well. And also your threads on your spindle, they could be very dry. I will put a little bit of number 3 grease on them. Just a little bit of grease. And then when I put grease on it, it's going to be a little stiff, so I have to loosen it up with just a little bit of 336 so that it has a little bit of grease on there, but it also has the lubricant so that it threads nice and smooth. Also, this shaft, I've noticed on these Reicherts, are dry. That needs a little bit of lubricant. I will use a number 10 Hog Strike number 10 grease on here so that it moves in and out freely, smoothly. So those are the 3 areas: your threads on your spindle, the shaft, the bearings here, your spindle, or your bearings on your joystick. If you get all those moving freely and quietly, and then put it back together in the reverse order,